It started with Coach Frost. Coach Frost said they needed somebody on the football team as a or not necessarily a football team. They needed a student athlete as a representative for this search committee, and he thought I would be a great pick, being an in-state guy, understanding what we want to see at Nebraska, and he asked me if I'd be willing to do that, and I said sure, and it was a great experience for me.
I think you're representing kind of a unique perspective among that group. I mean, what was kind of, I guess, in your mind important in the next AD hire from a student athlete perspective?
Yeah, it was cool for me to be able to help in that aspect, because for a guy like Trev Alberts, he's been in my shoes. He's been in my shoes a year from now. He's been through it all. He understands what we're going through as student athletes, and that's promising to me as a football player. He has a background of exactly what goes on here. He's been doing it for a decade now at UNO, and he's not here for 2 years just by talking to him. He's here for the long run. Nebraska is where he wants to be, and like I said, it's nice that he's been in my shoes, so he understands what I'm going through at this point, and I know he has a voice for all the rest of the athletics here too.
Does the Nebraska piece in his background here, does it matter to you?
I think it does, because when you say, when somebody from out of state comes in and says what makes Nebraska special, it's kind of hard to explain. You just have to be here to understand it, and he's been here to understand it. Like he said, he's from Iowa, and then he comes over here to Nebraska, and he just doesn't want to leave now. I mean, that just says a lot about Nebraska. It's something you can't necessarily put into words, but once you're here and been through it, you understand it.
Did you hear that from him? The student athletes and former student athletes on that committee get to visit with him, or how did you learn what you're saying about Trev?
Yeah, so it started a couple weeks ago, right about the time Bill Moose resigned or stepped down. The committee was put together, and we've been meeting every week now since then. And that pool of candidates they're talking about, we dove through. There was a whole book about each one of them. We dove through each one of them in detail about what they're about, where they've been, who they've talked to, who they know. And that's where I really learned a lot about Trev Alberts as a guy.
Other than what you mentioned, what impressed you about him?
He's very well spoken. I mean, you can tell he was a little emotional at the start of that, but that's, I mean, I would be too if I had the athletic director position at the University of Nebraska. I mean, this is a special place to me. But what stuck out to me is how well spoken he is in the position he is, and he's stepping up from. I mean, UNO is a big job, but I mean, there's not much bigger than UNL. I mean, this is a great job, and he's a well spoken guy. That's what stuck out to me.